on the Texas A&M Sports Network. From Learfield, live from Ludy's Country Store and Barbecue on Harvey Road in College Station. Welcome to the Aggie Basketball Hour with Buzz Williams. Presented by Coors Light, Choose Chill, and Gig 'em Aggies. 2024 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly. Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. Visit rudys.com to find real Texas barbecue near you. And by Twisted Tea, hard iced tea for the 12th man. Please drink responsibly. Now, here is the voice of Texas A&M basketball, Andrew Monaco.
Howdy, and welcome to another edition of the Aggie Basketball Hour with Buzz Williams. We're at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station, our home for the Aggie Basketball Hour. And for the next 60 minutes, let's talk basketball. We'll do it with the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies, Buzz Williams. But we will tip off the show with assistant coach Dale Lair. We thank you so much for being with us, not only here at Rudy's, but all along the Texas A&M Sports Network, the 12th Man mobile app, streaming on the Varsity Network app by Learfield, and Learfield's Behind the Mic. Check in, say hello. We'll say hi right back to you. Aggies are now number 12 in the country. The AP poll has them at 12, only fitting for the Aggies. 2 games this week, 1 at home, 1 on the road. Wednesday, home against the Vanderbilt Commodores. Saturday, on the road in Gainesville against the Florida Gators. A couple of teams that we'll talk about in this hour. And when we come back, we begin our conversation with Dale Lair. Coach Lair is next. This is Aggie Basketball from Learfield. Want a quick, delicious, and nutritious hot meal in minutes? Look no further than Heat Ups. Convenient, high-protein meals on the go with local pickup in Aggieland. Head on over to heatups.com to place your order. Heat Ups, meals made simple. It's the Aggie Basketball Hour with Buzz Williams. It's the Aggie Basketball Hour with Dale Lair as we get things started. Is there anything I can get you?
For a whole hour?
We can go as long as
I won't be here for an hour.
Okay. As long as you can stomach me. How about that? We'll see you.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure. Yes, sir.
When Buzz Williams talks about the 106 years of experience on the staff, I don't think he brings up enough about the wins.
2/3 of that is my experience.
I wasn't going there.
Yeah, there you go.
I was going with
thanks.
the
Thanks for bringing that up.
350-plus victories that Dale Lair has. Right? It's a lot.
We don't know how many losses though. We don't want to talk about the losses.
No, they don't exist any longer.
No,
they scrubbed that from your Wikipedia.
No
you know that, yeah.
Yes.
So I need to ask you, because you've been the assistant, you've been the head coach. Here you are, a special assistant for Buzz in that relationship. You have to have the trust of Buzz, just like you had to have his trust as a head coach. But the role is different as an assistant, is it not, than the head coach?
Yeah, I know all the answers now. I don't make any mistakes now. All the assistants, they never make a mistake. It's all the head coach. So, Buzz and I have a 25-year relationship. I hired him in 2000 as my assistant at Colorado State. So, did I ever tell you the story of me hiring him?
You told us a story that it wasn't a great first impression.
It wasn't his fault. I was tired. I'd gotten the job. I'd signed 4 players. I was just wiped out. I had one more assistant coach to hire. I'd hired 2 guys and needed one more, and picked him up at the airport. Fort Collins, Colorado is about an hour and 15, 20 minutes from the Denver International, and friend of a friend recommended him, and we heard great things. And when you're at Colorado State, there aren't enough good players in Colorado, so you have to either recruit the West Coast, California, or Texas. I had been in Texas and heard about Buzz and I said, I got to get somebody that could either bring me players from Colorado or from California or Texas. And Buzz came up, friend of a friend. I interviewed him, and I was worn out, and I didn't want to talk. He was talking so fast, and I just wanted to turn around and go take him back to the airport. And it was really bad of me. It was not his fault at all. He was wonderful, but I was just tired. I thought I was going to hire this other guy from California, and literally twice from the hour-and-a-half trip from DIA to Fort Collins, I almost turned around and said, I think I already got my mind set up. And so I just said, just get me through this. Let me get a night's sleep. Let me meet with him tomorrow. We had lunch, and he had two folders, two booklets that he had put together about why Texas, why recruit Texas. These are the people, the junior college. These are the 5 different regions in Texas, and these are the guys, and these are the top 100. And, Colorado has 8 Division I players a year, 2 of which can play at Colorado State. In the state of Texas, there are 107 that side in Division I, 42 can play at Colorado. And I'm just, if I don't hire this guy, I'm an idiot. And I hired him. Yeah. And best thing I ever did. He's a wonderful person, very smart, studious, has grown tremendously, is a worker. I've learned more from him than he's learned from me. And but I gave him a chance. Yeah. And he changed my career, changed my life because of how good he was for me. His 2 oldest kids, I was there. With Zira was born, and with Bubba was 22 years ago. Yesterday was his birthday, and I saw them both on the first day of their entry into the life, and he and Corey and their 4 kids are just great friends, and I'm very thankful that God put us together 25 years ago.
I have said this to his face, so this isn't anything.
Oh, really?
That I wouldn't say. I have said this because, and I want to.
Well, it's on air,
see if you agree. Ready?
We'll see.
Not college basketball, Dale. College athletics needs more Buzz Williams, not fewer.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Yes, 1,000%. He is setting the standard of how to coach in this new era, in the new marketplace, in NIL and revenue sharing. He invests in guys. He's purposeful in spending time with guys in a way that it used to be a transactional coach was the expert. Bobby Knight, you can say whatever you want, treat him whatever. He was above reproach in a lot of ways, and now it's different. You can't coach that way. And Buzz has adapted, has studied, is purposeful. He invests in guys in a way that he puts so many deposits in that relationship, then he can then go back and tell them the truth because they trust him. And he's built that trust, and he puts on clinics literally for our staff in how he handles. I don't mean handle the wrong way. I mean handle the right way. The way of telling the truth in love in a way that builds a relationship on a daily basis, and he invests in these guys. He goes out of his way to invest in him, and that's how you have to do it nowadays. And when I started, you didn't have to do it that way. It was different, and he's adapted and adjusted and really is leading our profession in that manner.
Yeah. I want to stop there, get a break. I want to come back.
You need a break from me now. That's right. Yeah, I don't blame you.
Hold on. Let me turn my back. The 12-Man Foundation is the official fundraising organization and ticket provider for Texas A&M Athletics. Support a 75-year legacy and help shape the future of Aggie Athletics by donating today at 12manfoundation.com. More with Dale Lair as the Aggie Basketball Hour rolls on from Rudy's. This is Aggie Basketball from Learfield. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance wants to give you a VIP Aggie basketball fan experience this year. Go to 12man.com/maroon contest and register. One winner and a guest will receive game tickets, a Buzz Williams autographed basketball, and you'll be recognized on the video board during the game. Register today at 12man.com/maroon contest. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance is a proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. We're going 3 wide up here now with Coach Lair, Coach Williams, Buzz, Dale, Andrew, Aggie Basketball Hour. How many conversations have you two had with one another in those 25 years?
Well, here's a story for us. On 9/11, we were recruiting in Texas.
Well,
and we got off the plane, and DFW was in shock, and we had no idea. They didn't tell us what was going on. We were in the air when 9/11 hit, and we got off the plane, and everybody staring, and everything shut down. Everybody staring at at the monitors and TVs, and we didn't know what in the world was going on. So we got a rental car. It was very fortunate, and we literally spent a week driving around Texas together, recruiting all these places. He would just find another player to go, and then, I heard about a player here, and because we couldn't fly back. So we were there for a week.
Yeah.
And that was quite a bonding experience because of 9/11 and the drama and all that was going on, and we were together, and it was great. Coach Buzz has taught me so much about recruiting and coaching and interacting with players, and it's been cool. I've learned so much to being around him in that role. When he was my assistant, he taught me how to recruit better, and now he's teaching me how to coach better.
Buzz, how fortunate to have him.
He's my favorite person in the world. He's the only person I call coach other than Coach Orr. And obviously I was a manager for Coach Orr. And, there's layers to all of this, and we could do 9 podcasts. But Bubba's birthday was yesterday. Bubba's 22 years old. Bubba and Sissy are, in essence, Irish twins. They were born in the same month, 1 year apart. Coach was the first person to see Sissy and Bubba. And, that was at CSU. Eventually we were together at Marquette. Eventually we were together at Virginia Tech. Now we're here. In between, Coach was the head coach at Liberty. We actually played one another, not that we had anything to do with it. But when I took the job at Virginia Tech, there was already a contract to play Liberty. I've known both of his sons, but all 3 of his children since they were little. They were little when Coach hired me. Now they're adults, married with families, and ultra successful in the businesses that they own and work for. And so just all of it. I mean, he hired me 18 days before I was married. So he carried me to DIA to fly to Amarillo to meet, to get married. And then when Corey and I returned from the honeymoon, all of our stuff is in Louisiana. And, Corey and I are renting a house. We don't have anything to put in it. She has a car, and it was the first time I had ever had a job that got a car, and that was, wild.
Yeah.
And there's just his wife I've known since I was 27 years old. I'm 52 now, and it's just we've been in a lot of fights together. We have fought with one another on both sides about both things, but when Coach says something to me, it resonates whether I do what he says or not. I'm still when Coach talks to me, whether we're in a fight or not, because I know he's never going to mismanage. He knows me, and he knows me as a human. He has seen my path, not only as a head coach. He knew me long before anybody would say Buzz. And so he doesn't introduce me as the head coach at Marquette or the head coach at Virginia Tech. Colorado State was the first job I'd ever had that didn't have a direction in the name of the school or a hyphen. And that was the coolest thing, to wear a Colorado State polo and it said Colorado State, not Colorado State University at Pueblo, not Northern Colorado. And he didn't know me. Coach played in college. Coach hired 2 of his teammates that he played with in college. He was trying to hire someone that could help from a recruiting standpoint. Colorado State's a hard job. There's maybe 1 player a year that's worthy of being recruited. You can't have a team at the University of Colorado, at the University of Denver, at Colorado State, and keep your job if you only recruit Colorado. He's trying to figure out, are we going to recruit California? Are we going to recruit Texas? Coach went there to be an assistant after being a head coach for 22 years to work for one of his former assistants. So that was the first time he had ever been an assistant in the previous 23 years, to work for Richie. And then, in essence, 18 months later, Coach gets the job. He hires 2 people he's known since he was in his late teens. He needs to hire somebody else. He's thankful for a job. He's never made 6 figures in his life. And he's like, hey, I got to hire somebody, and this person needs to be able to know what they're doing. But I'm not going to know that person. And so like how it all transpired, even the first time that coach picked me up and I, quote, interviewed for the job. I'm not telling him I'm engaged and getting married in 3 weeks. I'm not telling him I just came from a wedding shower that my mom hosted. Like, I'm trying to get the job. Job paid $45,000. Let's go.
Stick around because you talked about something about as being opposing head coaches. So I want to ask you what it's like to coach against friends. Stick around. One more segment, will you? Yeah?
He doesn't have anything else to do.
I gotcha. We will come back. That's the next question on the Aggie Basketball Hour with Buzz Williams. And this is Aggie Basketball from Learfield. At Costa Vida Fresh Mexican Grill, we source high-quality ingredients and make our recipes from scratch every day, starting with our fresh tortillas to our chips and queso, Baja Bowls, quesadillas, tacos, and more. Find us at CostaVita.com or in South College Station today. It's the Aggie Basketball Hour. Buzz Williams, Dale Lair with me. What is it like to coach? You guys have a lot of relationships. What is it like to coach against one another as friends? It can't be comfortable at all.
It was very difficult because I want him to win, and he's my guy, and I'm looking over, and it was emotional, it was personal, it was professional, it was all of it, and it's not like we had done it 20 times before. It was the first time, and like Coach said, that it was arranged before he got the job, so we couldn't get out of it, and I kept looking at him and looking at his team, and it's just looking at Corey in the stands. It's just different. And they beat us, so I hated it. But it was a memorable night. There's no question about it. I still can visualize it and know the emotions and all of that. And it's definitely mixed emotions.
You would rather not, though, correct?
1,000%.
Yeah.
1,000%.
You want to coach against someone you hate. You know what I mean when I say
Yeah, sure. Either you're not supposed to say hate in our house,
right.
but not like,
yeah,
or don't know. And I tried to get out of the contract with just taking the job, and Virginia Tech had finished in last place the 3 previous years. It was there was a lot of work to do. And I asked the AD, who I think is one of the best administrators ever in college athletics, hey, you think we can figure out how to get out of that? Mm-hmm. And he was like, I understand, but no, we don't have money for that. And then the first job that I got was at New Orleans. That was 7 months after Hurricane Katrina. And I grew up thinking I would work for Rock. I met Rock my second week of my college career as a freshman. I just turned 18, and I met Rock. He was the first Division I coach I'd ever met. And I always thought I would work for Rock, and it never worked that way. But we became a head coach at the same time. He became a head coach at his alma mater, Lamar. Mm-hmm. I became the head coach at New Orleans. And the contract was already in place to play at Lamar. And it was both of our 4th game as a head coach. And I did everything that I could to try to get out of that. But trying to do anything post-Hurricane Katrina that would cost anything more than a nickel, that wasn't a choice either. So
was it like this? Because I remember.
And then we played Scott Cross here. Yep. Scott Cross was the first player that I ever recruited / coached in my entire career. And then I eventually had the head coach who I worked for. I had him hire Scott to replace me. And then 7 years later, Scott replaced the head coach. And Scott became the all-time winningest coach in UT Arlington history. New AD, et cetera. They fired Scott. Scott was an assistant at TCU for 8 months and then became the head coach at Troy. And we as in Texas A&M, had already scheduled Troy. This was before net, et cetera. We had already signed a contract with Troy. Good, that's part of Coach's Lair's bucket, but that was the right schedule, and then they fire the coach and hire Scott. And I'm like, hey, coach, we need to get out of that.
Yeah.
And I tell J-Mo, hey, J-Mo, and he's like, no, we can't get out of that. we need to build a new football locker room, so play the game.
I think back to Spurs, Pistons, NBA Finals, Pop and Larry Brown, right?
Yep.
And to me, it looked like on the sideline, Pop and the Spurs run a play, and Larry looks at it going, oh, that was a good play. And then Pistons come back, and Pop's like, that's a good play. Was that you guys like, man, that's a real good play, Buzz? And Buzz,
no, I just ready to get it over.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't no.
40 minutes was too long. Like, let's go.
Yeah, you just again, I mean, we're thankful for the jobs that we have, but you want to try to avoid all parts of it. The pregame, handshake, the postgame. Like, I have a picture of when we hugged at half court after the game. But, like, just hurry up. His son's on the team. It's just none of it's any good.
Was it almost like relief at the end?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah. It was like all these emotions. But when he wins, I'm happy too. I mean, we're disappointed, but it's mixed emotions. It's I'm always pulling for Coach Williams. I mean, he's amazing person. He's treated me and my family amazingly, and I love his family. And you're upset, but you're also happy that he won too, even though it's no big deal. It was a guarantee game and all that. So
we won 11 games that year, so it wasn't like we were like just really good.
That says how bad a job I was doing. I was one of the 11.
And we paid for the win, so like you're not really supposed to count them. It's like Henry missing layups and getting an offensive rebound. Henry, we don't count that as an offensive rebound.
It's the old Moses Malone.
It's like if you, like I tell our kids, if we bought the win, we can't count the win. Like that doesn't count. We just
so you don't count that on your career record?
No, I do.
Okay,
I do if somebody asks.
You have to, yeah. It's just...
Stick around one more segment. I have a question for you about Buzz. Buzz, can he stay?
Yeah, I can leave.
No, not at all.
What you gonna do now?
This is our last radio show of year 6.
Yes, it is. Yes.
This is radio show number 12.
Number 12 of year 6. Yep. One more question for Dale. We come back.
That's 72 radio shows.
72
I was born in 1972. That's why it should end right here. This is the last one.
Right here. If I don't get these breaks in,
there's 12 people listening, Coach.
Oh, I got to check.
Paul and Nani count as one of the 12.
By the way, Lance said he counts. He texted me.
No, Lance is employed here.
No, he said
we
he
can't
counts.
count him. He's getting paid.
He says I count too. I can't tell Coach I count also.
No, that's like you can't count a win in a guarantee game. No.
This is every week. This is 72 weeks we've done this. And when we come back, one more question for Coach Lair when we return. It's the Aggie Basketball Hour with Buzz Williams, and this is Aggie Basketball from Learfield. When you need a new roof or just have a pesky leak, you want to call on the winning team at Schulte Roofing, home of the Bulletproof Roof Guarantee. Get the best. Visit SchulteRoofing.com. It's the Aggie Basketball Hour with Buzz Williams. Coach Dale Lair is with us as well. 6 o'clock tip on Wednesday, Vanderbilt at Reed Arena. Saturday in Gainesville against Florida. We'll get to that in just a little bit, but another question for Coach. Any of Coach Buzz's success surprise you? From the moment you hired and how he impressed you to then working with him?
That's a great question. He has been the most disciplined, intentional worker that I've ever been around. And when he started, he's not where he is now, wasn't there, but you could see the potential because of his work, because of his intentionality, because of his relationships, because of how disciplined he was and how purposeful he was every day. But I think the most important thing is Corey used to bring him iced tea every day just to get him through the day. He needed his caffeine. Corey would come with a gallon of iced tea and put it in his refrigerator in his office, and he drank it all in one day, and the next day Corey would bring it again. And I go, that's the guy who's going to be a high major coach someday, that's going to be the youngest guy to have the most wins ever So it's mostly Corey's.
He's always giving credit to Corey now.
Corey is. She's amazing.
She's the head coach.
Yes, she is.
She is. But that work ethic has never stopped for him as head coach. Because some head coaches change, correct?
Correct. Some people get infected by success or the level or the notoriety or get caught up in the ego. Not Buzz Williams. He's disciplined every day. It's just who he is, and it's what made him what he is. God has used him in an amazing way, and he's worked the same way all the way. He's just gotten better because he's wiser, smarter, learned, disciplined, studies in an incredible way that just keeps building. And it's been really, really amazing and cool to see, kind of sometimes up close, sometimes stepping back, but it's because of who he has been and how hungry he's been, how disciplined he's been. He's literally put on a clinic over these years on how to do it the right way, not just for himself, but for the people who play for him. And his investment in guys, his relationship with people is real, it's purposeful, it's trustworthy, it's built on truth and love in a way that is transformational. And I wish I would now be a head coach again after being around him, because I've learned things that, man, I wish I would have thought of that. I wish I would have been that far along, and it's been really cool to see.
He sent me a link to a podcast he was on, and the one line that stayed with me throughout this is everybody wants the noun without doing the verb. Buzz still does the verb, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
It's the first thing I thought about. Like, the verb has never stopped.
No question.
For him.
No.
And the noun doesn't matter. Like, if you gave Buzz, if you had business cards made, Buzz Williams, what would the title be?
Josh used to make me do that, and then I quit doing business cards, and now I just hand out the quote cards because I want. Thanks for all your kind words, Coach. I want to help. I want part of who I am or what my brand is, not my title. My titles can change, but who I am. I don't want my identity to be in what I do, and I hope that when I have interaction with people I know or don't know, even when I am emotionally or exhausted or whatever the words would be that come from the exposure of this, I hope those people, old people, young people, no matter where they're from, no matter the color of their skin, I hope that I can give them something that helps them. That's it. And so back when Josh was doing that, when Josh was young, it was CEO, Chief Energy Officer, and then I kind of got away from that. I didn't like that, and then it was CFO, Chief Floor Sweeper. So, I haven't done that with business cards in a long time. I haven't used email in a decade, so there's a lot of people that email that I never know because I don't have email.
Yeah.
I know there's a website that says I do. I have a phone that when I don't know somebody, I give them that number. Mm-hmm. When people ask Coach for my number, he just gives them that number. I look at that phone, I don't know, once every couple of days. The people that know me, this is my phone. Mm-hmm. When we're recruiting, the recruits never get this number. And then once they get on campus, I tell them this is really my number. And they're like, what's the other number? And I'm like, it doesn't count. It's this one. So it's just been an evolution, and I've tried to adjust and I've tried to adapt without sacrificing what I think is important,
right,
and try not to allow the results to dictate my energy or my emotion, and try to make sure that my words and my actions match up. And I think that's really hard to do as a leader because there's so many people that you're trying to lead that when you say one thing to this person but your actions are the other way to someone else, eventually that is what causes the cracks, right? You know, the IQ and the EQ. You have to be smart to do any of this at this level, but the EQ of understanding the people, whenever there's a fracture between IQ and EQ, wherever that fracture is, that's the ceiling to how good your organization can be. And sometimes people that are really, really smart also have a low EQ. And wherever the fracture is, that's how good they can be as a leader. And so I've tried to spend just as much time learning how to be smart as I have learning how to help others, because I think you want your ceiling to be as high as it can be, but when there's a crack in the roof, it's when one or the other is out of sorts. And so I've spent an inordinate amount of time learning how to lead others, which the most important leadership is learning how to lead yourself. If you can't be disciplined, you can't lead someone else to be disciplined, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so if there's a basketball question, stereotypically I ask Coach. If there's a defensive question, stereotypically I ask Devin. If there's a special teams question, I ask Lyle or TJ. If there's a personnel question, I ask Rock. If there's some sort of analytical question, I'm going to ask Josh. If there's some logistical question, I'm going to ask Grant. If it has something to do with our organization but not just me, I ask Landry. If it has something to do with my body or our team's body, I'm going to ask Gep and Eddie. So I just try to make sure that the people that are giving me the right information are pros in their buckets. And then I just try to discern and ascertain, okay, what makes most sense relative to that information as it relates to the entire group, not just as it relates to one person. I've had to make really hard decisions like anybody else in this job or jobs like this. You're not going to be able to lead where everybody feels like this is exactly right for me, but is it exactly right for us? And that's the most delicate part, because you love them and you do want to help them and you do want to hold them accountable. And sometimes even staff members, they're disillusioned on what they really do. And you have to say hard things and do hard things. Now, I just need you to do this. And this person's going to do this. And you guys are going to be great teammates because we're going to be an example to the young adults. And so there's a lot of moving parts, and those moving parts happen today. Those moving parts will happen tomorrow. It's not just when the scoreboard lights up. That's how we're judged. I'll take all of those arrows. I'll take all of those bullets. I'm never going to have an emotional vomiting session on look at everybody else. That's part of what comes with the chair. Sit there and take it, answer it accordingly. But if you can't protect them, who can protect them? And so I'm not saying that's right. I'm not actually even saying that's wrong. That's just what I believe.
It's the Aggie Basketball Hour with Buzz Williams. We're at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road, College Station. 2 more segments to go. This is Aggie Basketball from Learfield. Head on over to your local Rudy's or Rudy's.com to place an order for their real Texas barbecue. Enjoy 100% oak smoke meats, delicious sides, and Rudy's signature sauce. And don't forget, Rudy's serves made-to-order and grab-and-go breakfast tacos every day until 10 a.m. As you all know, there are times I talk with Buzz. There are things that we don't use on the pregame show. We never get a chance on the postgame show. So I save them and I clip them and I run them here during the Aggie Basketball Hour with Buzz Williams. This was from earlier last week, talking about Solomon Washington, about Anderson Garcia, the intangibles and what they bring to a team. And as I listen to this, I realize most of the time Buzz's answer is way better than the question.
We only know how to do this one way. It's not necessarily the right way. It's just the only way that we're convicted in regards to how we believe you're supposed to play on both sides of the floor, how you're supposed to work, how you're supposed to prepare, how you're supposed to study, how you're supposed to travel, how you're supposed to treat one another. So there's a lot of different ways to do anything. That's not just win. There's a lot of different ways to have a successful business. There's a lot of ways to be an author. There's a lot of ways to be a, quote, influencer. Relative to how we do it, the recipe we do it with, that's just the only way I know how to do it. Yeah. I never thought that I would ever be in this position. So along the path, the way has just kind of stayed the same, and we've tried to figure out ways to make the recipe more exact and better. And I think some of that is probably influenced by the people that are on our staff. 106 years of people on my staff, but 7 of those people started as students in our program. So the language we speak, the things that we do, it's like Solo. I won't coach long enough, but if Solo were ever on my staff, well, Solo only knows one language. Solo only knows one way we operate. It's kind of like Beatty. Like Beatty will say it differently than I say it, but the message is the same because that's all he knows. And
You much rather have 9 and 11 on your team than having to face them, don't you?
yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's again, that we think that's a competitive advantage. That's a typical Ham and Egger response, you know? Like, how'd you get here? Well, we just tried real hard. Well, when'd you try? Yesterday. What are you going to do today? We're going to see if we can figure out how to be just a little bit better. Well, when did that start? A long time ago. I think the accumulation of those reps, sometimes you can be wrong, but you're so strong in being wrong that it comes across as if you're right. And there's some of that goes on. Like, we don't necessarily think that it's always right. We just know that we've done it so many times. It's like guys that can't shoot. Well, when do you want to change their shot? I don't know. Beatty couldn't shoot, but Beatty shot 4 million bad shots. So we just try to get to 5 million, and we think he'll make a higher percentage in that extra million.
Somehow we made this all work at full circle, because if you remember on the first show this year, Beatty joined me, and we talked about it. I sent that bite to Beatty, and he said, LOL, that's hilarious. Thank you for recording.
Yeah, and Beatty knows that the last game he played in that I coached was in the Sweet 16 in D.C., and he started as the 2-guard, and he's not a 2-guard. And he was our leading scorer. He scored 16 points, and he made 3 threes. And he guarded a lottery pick who was 6'8", and that's why he started. And we lost on a very well-designed lob play at the buzzer with 1.6 seconds. We missed the layup to go to the Elite Eight.
You have won everywhere. And I'm going to stop you because I got to get the last segment. And then what I do every year, it's the gratitude segment to you. That's next. This is the Aggie Basketball Hour with Buzz Williams, and this is Aggie Basketball from Learfield. I saved Heat-Ups for last as well. When you want a quick, delicious, and nutritious hot meal in minutes, look no further than Heat-Ups. Convenient, high-protein meals on the go with local pickup in Aggieland. My thanks, before we get too late here, Kevin Menchow engineers all of our shows. Jeanette Menchow is here as well with Zach. They have been our engineers for these programs. For most of these episodes, Lacey Williams has been our producer in our Learfield studios. Lacey, thank you very much. To the head coach next to me. Someone once asked me, boy, you seem more grateful. I said, I think what Buzz Williams has done for me is I think I appreciate the gratitude, and I appreciate what I'm grateful. So there are the things that I am grateful for, Coach. The stuff that you are so generous with. I try to wear something every week or every game as well. So not just the clothes, the thoughtfulness when you give a book, the way we travel, and all that we get to do. From your podcast recommendations, he gave me in July, it shows up at my doorstep in the mail, everything that he had read or studied in the month of July. And the note on that is, I hope this helps you prepare better. And it was just mind-blowing, all the things that he has had, the quote cards that you have, the photos, the way you take care of my family and the team, and how that is a family. Most of all, Buzz, your time. Thank you. Thank you for all the time that you give to me, whether it is after a shoot-around and every week where you invest as well in all of these. And you, my friend, you make people better. And it's not better basketball players, Buzz. You make them better. And whether they will be better brothers, husbands, sons, whatever. And I told Dale this, and I will tell you again. College athletics needs more Buzz Williams, not fewer. and I hope you always have that positive impact. But I hope you know how thankful I am for everything that you do.
Yeah, all of that was we received all of it. Thank you for taking time to say it. Very kind of you. Take for granted. Everybody's familiar with take for granted. Mm-hmm. And so I was talking to an author early last week because, what I do with our guys in pregame, I write every kid a note, and then basically what I talk to them about before the game is not near what you would think. And so I spend a lot of time praying about and writing about and researching how can I teach them something that somewhat may apply, but that they'll remember for their life. And Josh has done a really good job. We're scaling a mountain. Each mountain, we get a mountain patch. There's a lot of stuff that goes on that we don't ever talk about publicly. And so I was talking to this author last week, and he's known me for a long, long time. And something about take for granted. And he said, yeah, Buzz, quit saying that. Take for gratitude.
I'm writing it down.
And I was like, oh, wow. Thanks for helping me on that. Right? And so, like, anytime you're taking something for granted, when you think of that internally, you should externally take it for gratitude. And to me, that's what you just said. I appreciate your spirit. I don't know if you're any good because I don't know you like that, but I know that you care. And I know that you take pride in your craft. And I don't know your craft, but I admire people who wake up and work and they're diligent in doing right over and over and over, whether it's public, whether it's private. We all need more consistency in having pride in my craft and trying to improve and trying to say it better and trying to do it better and trying to find a way that's unique. And like some of the clips, like I'm listening to myself talking, I'm like, man, I'm talking loud and country. But because when you talk to me, I don't feel like I have to be somebody I'm not. And I'm not good at being somebody I'm not. But the spirit in which you ask the question allows my spirit to go, hey, now let me talk to you about this right here. This might be an idea that could help you. Mm-hmm. And that's the way I talk. Like all of that stuff, I'm too wordy. Just answer the question and move on. And that's pretty much how I do with most media because I don't know them the way I know you, and I don't have access to you in that way. And so I appreciate how you go about it, and that's why you've been all over the world doing this for a living, and that's why you'll be able to do it as long as you can. And it's because of who you are.
Thank you so much, Buzz. We'll see you on Wednesday. You bet.
Thank
Buzz
you.
Williams, it's the Aggie Basketball Hour, and this is Aggie Basketball from Learfield.